Okay, so this is our March Ask the Trainer. We are going to be talking about inspection forms this month actually. I'm going to focus primarily on the new features in Mass 8 and 9 of the inspection forms. So hopefully you're familiar with the inspection forms. If you're not, you will get to see at least the creation of a simple one, things like that in here. And of course, we do have classes that we can teach either virtually or in person for the inspections as well. So for those of you who are first timers here and don't know who I am, my name is Ann Antonelli. I am the founder of Technology Training and Consulting, TTC. I also have my cohort, Gwen Colbeth, on the line, and there's several other people that have worked with me in the past that are on, other trainers that we've used and things like that. We have quite a group of people. We've been working together. TTC officially will be 26 years old on April 1st of 2026. So we've been around a long time. We have been involved in IBM software the entire time, although I did start with Lotus Notes and Lotus 123 and Microsoft Office, but we've been really focused on Maximo since 2007 and offering training all around the country since about 2014. So that kind of gives you an idea of my background with the Maximo products. Our agenda for today, these webinars are meant to introduce you to topics that maybe you don't, you're not using in your organization yet. Some of you might still be on Maximo 7.6 and you don't know what it looks like in Mass 9. For these first few months, I let the very first group kind of determine the order in which I teach things. I'll show you the calendar at the end, and I'll show you some of the other upcoming topics. But really today, we're going to introduce you to the new features in Mass 9 with the inspection forms. And if you did use inspection forms in 7.6, they've really done some great improvements to it. I will be doing a live demo in my Mass 9.1 environment. When we do our training, you actually get access to our Maximo Mass 9 environment during the class and for a certain amount of time after the class, depending on how many classes your organization decides to do with us. So you'll get an idea of what our environment looks like. I do start with this one slide each time because we do have quite a few companies that are still on Maximo 7.6, and they're moving from the EAM to the new Maximo Application Suite, and specifically Mass Manage. Manage is what our EAM applications like locations, assets, job plans, all of our traditional products and applications that we're used to using are now referred to as Manage. And it's only a small portion of the Maximo Application Suite. There are plenty of other applications that can be added in and included, and it's all under one licensing agreement. So it's not like you have to buy additional licenses and all of that like you used to have to pay for add-on products. There is a handout that I send to everyone who attends after this session. On that handout is this link for the Maximo Application Suite introduction. The 2024 introduction is the newer version of the introduction. The original one was done with Mass 8, and now this one is done with Mass 9. And this is a great free course from IBM.
Is going on, whether it's contractors, that's what I do best.
Could I please get you to mute? Thank you. It's a great 6-hour course. It is free from IBM, and it introduces all of the other products in addition to the Manage products. So it really gives you an idea of what does Monitor do, what does Predict do, what does Health do. So I really encourage people to take that class. And again, I do have a document that I will, I'll upload it in here, but I can also email it to people afterwards as well. Today, we're going to be talking about a role-based application. Last month, we looked at role-based applications in the work orders, the work order module, the work orders role-based application. Inspection forms were one of the original Work Center and now role-based applications. And there are several different versions of it within Mass 9. So we'll be taking a look at all of that in our session today. So this just gives you a little bit of information, kind of a 7.6 screenshot, just in case you are still on 7.6, of what the inspection form looks like. Now, these inspection forms, they can be performed on a laptop or desktop computer, but the real reason they're considered role-based applications, and the real bonus to them is they can also be run through all of your Maximo mobile applications. So they work online and offline. You can be in airplane mode on an iPhone or another type of a mobile device like a tablet, and you can complete the form. And then when you connect to your server, it will upload that information. In 7.6, we had all of these original field types. We have a yes, no, true, false, pass, fail type one. You can see that there on our screen. We have text boxes where we can let people type and add information. We have date, time, just time, single numeric entries like a priority number or a reading or something like that. You have uploads for attachments, meter readings, and then we've always had our single choice list where you can give them multiple options and they can choose one. So for example, you can give them multiple options as far as what is my brain just stopped. Kind of what is the value of something, or what color is something? And you could choose one item from that list. That list could be made by you. You manually type it in when you create the form, or you could attach it to an existing domain list. For example, work type. You want them to choose something like that. New to Mass 8 and 9, it came in earlier versions. 8.8 is specifically where these new fields came in. Now we can have multiple choice lists. You have 5 options, select all that apply rather than just select one. And you can also put those in with the domain. So those 2 fields specifically, I'm going to show you what they look like and how you add them to your form. And then you also have a signature field now. This is different than the e-signature that has been available since 7.6. E-signature means when they submit the form, it pops up a dialog box, you type in your password, and you get a legally binding electronic signature saying that you completed and submitted this inspection form. This signature field is what we refer to as a wet signature. It's the one that pops up the dialog box that you see all the time when you're paying for things by credit card and you use your finger or your mouse to sign it. So I'll also be adding that signature field to a form today so that we can take a look at that as well. As I go through these few screens, kind of introducing the topics, and then I get into the demo, if you have questions, please type them into the chat. We're going to try to keep everyone on mute because I, of course, always have way too much to get through in just 1 hour. And I want to leave time for you guys to have questions and be able to answer those questions. So questions that you have, throw them into the chat. Gwen can take herself off mute and tell me that there are questions there. And that will just hopefully make things go a little bit faster for us. Now, we have additional features on the inspection forms. I should probably have added the e-signature to this, but e-signature has been around since the very first version of the inspection forms, and it's available in regular Maximo screens. You can turn on e-signature for work orders when you change status, things like that. But we now have 3 other additional features. We have the ability to add conditions. So if you have those fields of yes, no, true, false, or a multiple choice, you can choose one of those options and you can say, if the user chooses that option on your form, display another form to capture more information, to request that they upload a picture, or to ask them for comments to add more information. So that's a new field. It does only allow you to add one more visible field, not a whole series of them. We're hoping that we get more down the road because I already have use cases for more than one field, but we at least have one. We also have the ability to add validations. So on your validations, if you're doing numeric entry fields, let's say you're asking them to put in a priority and someone puts in 10, but your priority options are only 1 through 5. You can put in a validation to make sure that they put in a number greater than 0 and less than 6. So we'll look at those validations as well. And then the third one is kind of like our e-signature and wet signature. It's an add-on enhancement to something we've already had. Since about 761, we've had this really cool action that we can turn on that says if you do pass fails and you have a bunch of fails, or you have other fields where if they put a comment in, you need to create a follow-up work order for all of that stuff that failed and all of those comments. There was one automation script already in the system that we could just simply turn on, and we turn on these actions and we connect that automation script to the form and off we go. As soon as we submit our form, a dialog box would come up and say, there are items on this form that require a follow-up work order. Do you want to create that work order? You click yes. And that work order was created with all of those items put into tasks. So now they actually have, if you are brand new to Maximo, you don't get that create work order automation script, but we can give you the link to go out and copy it from a document that IBM has out there and place it into your system. Now, in addition to that one, all sorts of systems, all sorts of automation scripts can be used. So for example, one of the most popular automation scripts, a lot of them are out on IBM's website. You can just copy and paste them and put them into your system, is that when you complete the inspection form, it can also go back and move to a comp status, your work order, because that does not automatically happen right now. So that's an automation script that people have done. Another automation script similar to that is when they complete the inspection form to submit it, it can bring up dialog boxes for the work log on the work order and things like that. So we can now do a lot more with automation scripts within our inspections forms as well. And I've noticed that there are more and more at these user conferences. If you're not familiar with the Maximo user conferences, I'll show you a list of upcoming ones at the end of this session. There are more and more sessions from companies that have been really working on these automation scripts and moving away from buying other software programs that they have to have extra licensing for and extra servers for and all of that to be able to use these inspection forms. So we'll be looking at all of these in my demo. The last thing I want to show you really quick is inspection forms are like meters. They get associated with assets and locations. Now, in Maximo 7.6 and earlier, you had to associate it with assets and locations before you could use them. And I think even in most versions of Mass 8, you had to do this as well. Now in Mass 9, there is an option to associate an inspection form, associate an inspection form directly on the work order with the asset. And if it wasn't already associated with the asset, now it becomes associated with the asset on your first use. What I'm going to show you in the demo is that we don't have to do it one asset at a time. So we may create an inspection form, and you're going to see almost this exact example in my demo. That's an inspection form for all of our vehicles. Well, I might have 30 or 40 vehicles in my fleet. I don't want to do that one at a time. So now in Mass 9, one of the things, and I believe this started at 8.8, that's where most of the inspection form enhancements came in. Now we can do multiple. We can choose a whole group of assets, literally up to 200. unless your organization has changed that limit of select all. And you can apply that inspection form, that single inspection form, to a whole group of assets at one time. So that will also be part of my demo today. Okay, as I'm switching screens, if you guys have any questions, again, go ahead and throw them in chat. So I am going to go ahead then and move over to my Maximo environment. For today's demo, I am going to log into the Bedford site. One of the great things about having our training environment, this is a Mass 9 environment that is hosted by Total Resource Management for us. And yes, we pay for it. It is not cheap, but the advantage to that is when we train our clients, we actually create private organizations and sites for them, and they can provide us with some sample records. And we can actually use those sample records in our training. We don't have to train in that demo data created by IBM, or actually MRO, most of it, created way back in like 2005, 2006. So, okay. So when I first log in to Maximo Application Suite, I do get to the Suite Navigator screen. This is a little bit different if you're not on Mass 9 yet or Mass 8. These are the applications that are taught in that class I was telling you about that IBM has. So there are also industry solutions, add-ons, accelerations, tools. That class really goes through quite a few of those. Manage is the only one that we have turned on at this time. That's why it has our little green check mark. And I just launch it and I go into my default start center. We haven't done a whole lot of creating of start centers yet. Actually, it looks like I do have a dashboard now, along with my start center that is launching. But, we haven't done a whole lot on that yet. We've been kind of focused on other training. 9.1 does include your virtual assistant. This is your little IBM AI down in your bottom right-hand corner. You can move him around if you need to. I usually tend to close him to get him out of the way. Your privacy choices, if anyone knows how to get rid of this thing, please text me and let me know, because right now, all I know is every time I try to move it, it opens up the same IBM website, web page over and over and over again. So I just have to kind of work around it. Today, it's not quite in the corner, so that'll help me. Hopefully it'll stay right where it is. I am going to go over to our menu. And before I actually start with the screens themselves, I want to show you a little bit about where inspections are in our menus. So under planning, we used to have an application called Manage Inspection Forms. We no longer have Manage Inspection Forms. That was the version of it that was related to work centers. Work centers were decommissioned in 9.0. And as of 9.1, everything we do with inspections is under role-based applications, RBAs. So under planning, RBAs, you can be given inspection form rights. This is where we actually develop our inspection forms. And I'll be going into that one in just a few minutes here. Also under work orders, under the work orders module, we have an RBA, role-based applications there as well. And we have a section for inspections. It has a down arrow, so there's more than one application under it. We have the inspections application. This is where we can go in and just pick up inspections that need to be done, or work with inspections that are assigned to us, whether we're on a computer or a tablet or a phone. We can also create inspections here. And then under the technician area, under my schedule, that's one of the ones I'll demo today. You'll see that when the inspection forms are connected to work orders, you can use the My Schedule Technicians application as well. Technicians and inspections work both offline and online. So it doesn't matter if you have access to the Maximo server. If you are outside the range of where your Wi-Fi is, you just throw it into airplane mode. That immediately tells Maximo to work with the Maximo mobile database to save all of the information. You do need to have Maximo mobile database configured for these applications to work offline. So if that's something you guys are interested in, I do have a set of steps to do it. We have not done it yet in our environment, but if you are interested in those steps, we can provide those for you. Okay, so I am going to go into the inspection forms where I can create inspections. And I created an inspection yesterday. Some of these inspections were created earlier, 5/31/21. That is when this particular inspection form application was first created, and these are the ones that IBM gives us to reference. If you remove these out of your environment, then one of the features I'm going to show you, of course, it will change that feature a little bit, and I'll point that out in a little bit. But then most of them, you can see our environment has only been up since right around the beginning of February. I think it was late January when we got ours up. So we have all these different inspection forms. One thing that is different with inspection forms now, we used to see them kind of as little Post-it notes in the work center. Now we see them more as a list. And at the very far right-hand side, this button is all over in our new Mass 9 Manage environment. It's referred to as a vertical ellipsis button. Sometimes when you point to it, it says it's a menu. In this case, it says it's more actions. I've been calling it the snowman button because it kind of looks like a snowman. But this is actually where we go if I want to click on one of my forms and I want to preview it, or I want to duplicate it. So I actually go into the preview of the form. Now, previewing a form shows you what the questions look like. It does not let you edit it. That's a really important thing to understand. Okay, so that's how we go in to actually go in and preview those forms. If I'm creating a new form, I click my button up here. If I want to filter down and find all the forms that are active or all the forms that I've created, I have a filter button here that'll bring up additional fields. I'm going to start with a brand new form. So if you have not created a form before, you'll at least see the basics on how this is created. You do need to name your form. Each form is given an auto number, and internally, Maximo uses that auto number. But I will tell you, you should have an idea of how you want to name your forms, just like how you put descriptions on your job plans and how you put your descriptions on your assets and all these other things. There should be some type of a methodology to naming the forms. So I'm going to put TRN in front of mine for training, and then I'm going to say that this is a vehicle inspection. This allows me to be able to search on TRN and bring up all my training inspection forms. Now, when you first come in the previous versions, it would actually prompt you immediately to go in and add the instructions. And then if you needed to put any attachments, you actually had to try to upload them and attach them into the instructions. Now on the right-hand side, there's a little add button. So you don't have to do the instructions right away if you don't want to. The add button lets you put the instructions in and also upload attachments. I have seen a lot of instruction forms have images and everything in them to show people what to look at, how to inspect things, where the meter readings are, all that type of stuff. So you can upload an SOP document for that information, or you can put it into a very rich text field where you can copy and paste it from, say, a Word document and include pictures and links and all of those things. The select form type really has not changed much. It still doesn't do anything. So it's kind of like that template field in job plans. You're just kind of categorizing it. I'm creating an inspection form, so I'm going to categorize it as that inspection form. But if I had just left it blank, it wouldn't have done anything different than me having it in there with the inspection form. One of the really great new features that I like is this copy questions button. I will tell you, if you are on version 9.1 and you use this copy button and it does not work, please reach out to us. Our people at TRM had to do a lot of research and apply some type of a fix pack to get ours to work. It works great at version 9.0, and I think it might work at 9.2, but at 9.1 it needs some type of a fix. But this copy questions is amazing. It literally brings in every question you have from all your different forms. And if you want to reuse questions, you can just grab them and reuse them. So I could come up to this top of this list because I have 220. You can see here the bridge inspection form, one of the out of the box ones, comes with a ton of questions. That's the one I was saying. If you get rid of those out of the box ones, you also lose a whole bunch of these really awesome questions that you could use. But I'm going to type in the word inspection here. And actually, let me try typing in the word, I think it was maintenance. Well, let me try vehicle, because I know I have vehicle in there. There we go. So essentially, anything I type in here, it's going to search the questions, but it's also going to search the forms. And I can just go in here and I can say, okay, well, I know that I need to look at the condition of the truck tires. I know I need to check the oil. Let's see, I know I probably need to check the windshield wipers. And I'm going to also do this checking the radiator. I'm going to grab those 4 questions, and then I have additional questions I'm going to add to my form. I click OK, and as soon as this little spinny thing stops, those questions get added. And what do? The first thing I do, I'm going to save. So I've literally just drafted an inspection form by doing nothing more than choosing a bunch of questions from another set of forms. Here is the revision date. This is the one I started. When I saved it, it did close it. It's still in draft. So I'm going to go over to that snowman button and I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to add a couple more questions. Remember, I want to add those new question types. So I'm going to add one of the new question types. I'm going to do a multiple choice question. Now, single choice is the list of choices, however many you want, select only one. That's what we've had since Maximo 7576 when inspections came out. Multiple choice, same list. Now you're doing choose all that apply. Okay, so maybe I'm going to say I need to know what paint colors are on this vehicle. So I'm going to say what colors are on this vehicle. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to say select all colors on the vehicle. So we have our question and then we have our description where we can add more information. And then I'm going to just do some basic colors. We have red, black, add with a plus sign here, white, silver, blue, and I'll just add one more color in here. Maybe I have green. Now, there is a little color palette over here. Sadly, it doesn't have a lot of colors with it, but I'll at least turn on the red, the blue, and the green so that you can see what those look like on there. And then I save the question. So each time you add a question, you're going to choose it from this list on the left-hand side. You're going to go in and you're going to configure your question, and then you're going to hit save, and it adds it out to this list. If I want this to be the first question over on the left-hand side, I just click and drag it up. Now it's my first question. If I want to add another question, this time I'm going to do the multiple choice, but I'm going to use a domain. Remember, domains is an application inside your Maximo Manage system, and it's your lists, like what are your work types? What are the days of the week? That's what I'm going to actually use in this one. There's all sorts of things that you guys have as domains, and you can use any of those alphanumeric domains in this list. So I'm going to say, what days is this vehicle available for reservation? And then I'm going to say, select all days the vehicle is available. And the domain is, I believe it's days, no spaces, of week. There we go. Yep, days of week. That domain is used all over the place when you look at the scheduling applications. So I'm reusing a domain that's already in my system. And then I'm clicking on the save button again. Notice it does have a little thing down here. You can add an additional response for the question. So we do have that other thing that we're going to look at. We're going to look at conditions where we can add that as well. So I'm going to save this question. And then my last one I'm going to add is that signature, that new signature. It's not the e-signature. It is the wet signature. So I'm going to say, please sign here before you submit form. And then the reason you're choosing a folder is because it's going to save that image attached to this form. So I have over here on the right-hand side, I have a lookup, and it depends on how your attachments are set up, but we have an attachment, I'm sorry, we have an attachment folder for images, pictures and images. I'm going to use the one for images. And essentially, we just have to say, where are these going to be saved? Where are those signatures going to be saved? Okay, so now I've gone in and I've added all of these questions. Notice that this save button over here for my form is grayed out, because as I've been going through and saving each question, it's also saving the form for me as well. I might want to take a look at these other questions that I just grabbed to make sure that they're okay. If I want to look at any of these questions, I can come over to the right-hand side to my little snowman button, and I can go in and I can edit this question. And it just says condition of truck tires, pass, fail. Okay, that's fine. This is one of those things where I can turn on the required action. If I say the required action is yes, if it's failed, then I can link that action that would create the work order, the follow-up work order. So I'm going to turn that on for that one. Now I want to take a look at what the form itself looks like. So I'm going to come back to my revision history here. I'm going to go into my more actions from my list, and I'm going to preview my form. And again, previewing it is not editable, but at least I can see, okay, I've got all these different colors. I've got a pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, fail. I've got this two-part question here on the radiator. I'm going to play around with the condition on that one in just a minute. And then I have the select all that apply here. But it's very strange. I guess it's alphabetical order. We'll have to look around on that one and see if there's a way to get it into the normal order. But right now it is in alphabetical order. And then here's my please sign. This is not what it's going to look like when you actually do the wet signature, but it gives you an idea. So anytime you see the check boxes, you have a multiple select. Every time you see the radio button, you have the individual select. Okay, so that gives us an idea of what that inspection form looks like. Now I'm going to go back into the inspection form again, and I'm going to add a couple more things. I'm not quite ready to make it active yet. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to conditions. Remember, conditions is where we can take a question and we can say, if you answer a certain way, then show one more question. And we saw that that radiator question had a second question underneath it. So I'm going to go to that radiator question. I'm going to choose the radiator question itself. I have an add condition button. Not every question is going to allow you to add conditions, just like not everyone is going to allow you to add validation. Remember, validation is if you have a number field, but they will, the buttons will light up if the question type is the right way. So I have condition of radiator, please choose pass or fail. I want to go in and add a condition, and I want to say if fail, then I want to put that question and make it visible. So I'm going to find that question, 5.3, and click OK. And am I going to make it required? Yes, I am. And I'm not going to have it visible right away. So I'm turning this off at first. Notice that when I have it turned on, I can't save this condition. Because remember, the condition is they have to choose fail before they see that question. Once I turn it off, now I can save it. The question itself is set to required and visible. So that's why it came in that way. And that's what'll happen once I go through and choose an option with it. So that is adding a condition. Now adding the actions. Let me see under form settings here. So right now we have not added any additional automation scripts. This is just the one that comes with your previous versions, 7.5 and 7.6. And that's that one where you can create a work order. So if you had multiple, you can choose one action, and I can go in here and I choose it. And now I should get a save button for my form. Let me just make sure it added that, or it might have automatically saved it. Let me just form settings. Yep, that one's turned on. I expected to see something where I would save, but it didn't. Okay, so now let me just review the parts I've done to make sure I've done everything. I've added the 3 new fields. I've added the condition. I've added the follow-up work order. Now I need to associate this. Well, first I need to make the form active. Once it's active, now I can actually use it. Okay, but I can't use it if it's not assigned to any locations or assets, unless I create a work order that has an asset and then I assign it there. I actually want to assign it to a whole bunch of vehicles. So I'm going to go over to my assets application. Oh, and actually, before I do that, let me look at one thing. I'm going to go all the way back to my inspection. Actually, I see the number right here. I was going to go back to my inspection forms, but I needed to know what my number was. It's just an easier way to put everything in. So my number is 1015. Now I will go to my assets application. And in my assets application, I know all of my vehicles are in my fleet. They're assigned a location of the fleet garage. So here are all the vehicles that I want to assign this inspection form to. I can select records, select all of them. I can look through this list, but this list is really long. So I'm just going to go up to find navigation item and use my little shortcut and type in INSP for inspection. And there is my option for associate inspection form. My inspection form was 1015 tab. I got the right name there. I click OK. Done. Up to 200 assets at a time is what we can do now. Much easier than doing it one at a time. Now, if I go into a specific vehicle, let's say I go into this Freightliner 61002, I want to actually perform this inspection now on this specific vehicle. With that vehicle open, I can go in and do that find navigation again, INSP. There's the unscheduled inspection. We've always been able to do the unscheduled inspection, but now instead of just assigning it and giving it a due date, we can actually assign it to who's going to do the work and who's going to review it. So we can go in here and I can say 1015 is my form. I want this particular inspection done today. And I'm going to assign it to myself. That way it'll show up on my technician's board. And then if someone else like Gwen is going to be my reviewer, I can assign the reviewer to her. If I have a fleet group of maintenance people and I just want to assign it to the group so it falls into their start center, I could assign it to to the group as well. Individual person or group, either one works. Okay. So now I've created my inspection form, I've assigned it to my asset, and I created the inspection results document for an inspection of this particular vehicle. As a user, I would go into my work orders module, or if I have my start center, my mobile start center, I could do it from that mobile start center as well. Under role-based applications, I can go in under inspections or under the technician because it's assigned to me, either one. So I'm going to go under inspections. And it was assigned to me. I have not actually picked it up yet, but you can see here it is. That's that 61002. Today it's due March 19th. Okay. Now I could also, if I can find my little box down there, this is my mobile start center. I could also go to my schedule, and because it was assigned to me as an individual, here's my technician's assigned work. This is the one that I created yesterday. Let me see. I don't think it's a PM. I didn't create it there. The other, okay, actually check for updates is probably, so it hasn't come in yet, but it should come in pretty quickly. So I can go in, I'm going to go back over to the inspections. And I'm going to run it through inspections just because it's that way you guys get to see exactly the one we just created. So here's the one we just created. I click on Start Inspection. And now you can see what the new questions look like. So this one here, select all colors on the vehicle. Maybe the vehicle is red and black and it has some silver. Now I can choose all three of those options. Condition of the tires. Remember we had that follow-up work order if that failed. So I'm going to click on fail. Check oil level. I'm going to say that passed. Check windshield level, pass. This question I do have to tweak a little bit because right now it's showing both questions, but basically what I should be able to do, and I'll just pass it on this time, but if I fail it, then that question should come in. So I'm troubleshooting right now. The question didn't work exactly the way I wanted it. And thankfully the preview may have been in a different order, but in the real thing, it does say that it has the days of the week in the order from our calendar. So I'm saying this vehicle is not available on Saturdays and Sundays. And finally, my signature field. This is my wet signature. I'm not very good at these, but when I save it, remember it's saving that wet signature to the form. You can click on it to see it again. And it's also saving that signature as an attachment. And then when I am finished, I just mark my complete button and it looks like it's looking for something else. And that is because this question hadn't been checked yet, the one that I was troubleshooting. So the complete button will not light up. It will not let you mark it complete until all your required questions are checked. So let me just go back to this. If I had gotten here and the complete wasn't checked, that's what these buttons up here are for. I can go to required and it shows me which ones are required. Oh, that's required. That's why I wasn't able to get it lit up so that I could mark it complete. Now I can mark it complete and I can click done and it brings me back to my other inspections. I'm going to show another set of inspections like this shortly. So that shows us most everything. I do need to fix that condition. And then I want to demo one other thing as well. So I'm actually going to demo the other piece first, just so we can get through it. This particular inspection that I have, 1307 here, I just want to show you the parts of it because it is really cool how this gets set up. So I am going to navigate back to manage outside of my role-based applications. This is referred to as batch inspections. And it took a lot of asking questions, posting them out on moremaximo.com, posting it out on Tech Exchange, reading tons of articles for me to actually figure out how this worked. And then to actually see it in 7.6, a variation of it works, but it is cooler, nicer here in Mass 9.1. So first what I did was I created, and it's not under assets, it's under planning, I created a route. The route that I created was the list of all my vehicles, and each one of those vehicles, so each one of those items in your route, I'm assigning it an inspection form. Now, in this case, I assigned each vehicle the same inspection form, but you can see each one is individual. I could have given them different inspection forms. I assigned each one an inspection form. I could have also assigned job plans if I wanted to, but the most important piece to this is I chose multi-assets. The multi-asset version of the route is what lets us do batch inspections. If we do work order tasks or child work orders, now we're talking each inspection form is attached to individual work orders because a task is in itself a work order as well. This is the only way with this multi-asset that I can perform this batch inspection. Then what I do is I take this form, this route. Normally, if I wanted to do this inspection once a month, I would put it on a PM and it would generate a work order once a month. I'm actually going to apply it on the fly to a new work order so you can see it right now and we don't have to wait for new PMs to be generated. So key thing, my work order number is 1308. I have a completely out of the box environment, so it lets me edit that. I'm actually adding my initials to it, so it's even easier for us to find. And this is going to be my vehicle inspection route. I know that all of my vehicles are assigned to the fleet garage, so I'm going to put that as my location at the top. But I'm not going to assign a single asset at the top. I am going to come down to the multi-asset area here, and I'm going to apply my route. I could just select vehicles, but I want to apply the route because by applying that route, I actually have the ability to get the inspection forms in there and it creates the inspection results. So applying the route is in my more actions. It's also here under the select button from routes, and it's also under the select button under here from routes. So depending on where you want to find it, I can do everything here. I actually want to apply the route, and I'm afraid that if I select from the route, I'll only get the assets. So I'm going to use up in my find navigation, I'm going to type in the word apply or APP. I'm going to apply the route. When I apply the route, it applies the inspection forms as well. And if I had job plans and things like that, it would do those. Here are the inspection forms. Remember, they were all the same. but each asset has its own inspection results document. That is what you use over in that My Technician or Inspections screen. So I've got this whole thing done. I don't even really need to save it, but I do need to assign this inspection to someone so that I can get the work done. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to change the work type to inspection. I'm going to go over to my assignments tab and I'm going to assign it to myself. And then I'm going to save it and I'm going to approve the work order so that it gets added to my technician schedule. Okay, so I applied that route so that we could see it. We saw all of the inspection forms there. Now that it's been applied, now as the technician, I'm going to use that technician schedule, my schedule. When I first go into the My Schedule, it shows me that one from yesterday that I was practicing. But here's the one from today. And I know it's from today because I put my initials in that number. I have the ability to accept it or reject it. Obviously, if I reject it, someone else has to go in and do it. I'm going to go ahead and accept it. And then I'm going to click on Start Work. I'm not sure what that error message is quite yet. So let me go in and expand it because that way I can actually see it. Okay, so, oh, I know what it is. I haven't set up the start and stop work for labor on my server. Sorry. This is the key thing. These buttons do not have tooltips. I'm hoping by 9.2 they all have tooltips. We have in our courseware all documented what each one of these buttons does. This button is the button for the inspection. And it tells me that this work order has 6 inspections applied to it. I click on that button and it shows me only the first inspection. Well, no, it shows me all 6 inspections here and I can start the batch inspection and then it only shows me just one. But if I'm here and I see this is for Freightliner 61001 and I get to the first truck and it's not 001, I can click the Open Next inspection and it's just going in the order of the asset numbers on the route. So I can go to whichever one I get to first. I got to Freightliner 003 and then I can go in and I can do the inspection. When I finish one of the inspections, I'll say this one's only available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for some reason. And I click complete and I click done, it automatically goes to the next one in line. Okay, so I have the ability to look at all the questions ahead of time. If I have some questions done, it'll show me which ones are done. If I want to see which ones are required. So I can navigate around here. I can navigate Open Next. It'll keep going through the list. Or I can also go back to the list here. And now notice that it tells me this one is complete. So I can come back to my list. This is all new features starting at 9.1. In 9.0 and 7.6, there is batch inspections, but it's not as clear on how they look and feel. So they've done quite a few improvements to make it look a lot better and work a lot better. That is all the stuff that I wanted to demo, and I am almost out of time. So I am going to really quickly come back. And first I want to check and see if we have any questions. Do we have any questions in the chat, Gwen?
Yeah, we have a couple. I was just working on. Does the work type being set to inspection automate any
No.
functionality?
That's a great question. Work types are actually created by your organization when Maximo is installed, and your organization can add or remove work types based on your organizational settings. So some organizations have a work type of inspection. I've seen others that have a work type of PM and a sub work type of inspection. The inspection work type has nothing to do with the inspection forms at all. There's nothing, unless you were to program it through automation scripts yourself.
Right. And can the inspection form be accessed directly from the work order in work order tracking?
Absolutely.
Yes.
When you are in there, that result form, and that's in our training class, you can click on the little detail menu at the end of the result set or at the end of the results number, and it'll say go to inspection, and it'll hop you into the inspection form. So you can do it from the work order, or you can do it from the inspections application or from the My Schedule application. Okay, and I know I'm always running late because I always have so many things I want to show you guys. I am going to need to spread this past just local United States because I do know we have some people outside of the United States now joining our Ask the Trainers. But for those of you in the United States, these maximogroup.org regional single day conferences, they are phenomenal. We have 4 of them coming up. I want to point out the third one, May 13th, Denver, Colorado. It's our West Mountain Maximo user group. I am going to be sending emails to a bunch of people today to see if any of my local companies, organizations that are here in Denver would like to speak at it. I'm also helping out with the Albuquerque, New Mexico one. If you guys know anyone from the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, or if you are from that area in your organization and you're interested in speaking, please let us know. These regional conferences are amazing because they bring in IBM, they bring in a few vendors, but mostly they bring in local organizations where you guys can get to know each other and you can figure out what organization like Denver International Airport, who spoke last year, they showed us that they had upgraded to Mass 8. They were the only organization in the country that had upgraded to, or only organization in Colorado that we knew of that had upgraded to Mass 8 last summer. And they not only showed us what their upgrade was like, but they showed us how they did their training and all that. And it was really helpful. So we're always looking for speakers for any of these maximogroup.orgs. The Maximo Utilities Working Group, that is a separate nonprofit organization. They do a spring and a fall conference, and their spring conference is still accepting registration through April 1st. And they just announced that they will have IBM testing there. Go Maximo, Gas and Oil Maximo, is at the end of April down in Houston, Texas. I will actually be speaking and teaching at that one. Not only will we be doing IBM certification testing, but I'll be teaching a 1-day certification workshop to help people prepare for the test the next day. And you get 1 free test by registering for that particular conference. And then I think your second test, if you need to take it a second time, is half price, or if you want to take a different test. And then we do have another one that I wanted to point out, the AdMug, Analytics and Data, Maximo User Group. We're doing a virtual conference on May 7th. And that one is, you can register online out at LinkedIn or at the AdMug website. And that one is going to be all about dashboards and start centers and Power BI and all the different things people are doing with respect to reporting for their Maximo systems. So here is a group of US based. Next month, I will work harder to get some outside of the United States as well. This is also the additional Maximo resources. Again, I have all this information on a document that I can send after class as well. So as long as I have your email address, and if you received an invite from me, I have your email address. If you were forwarded your invite from someone else, if you can send us your email, then we can send you this document. Maximo.com, IBM Tech Exchange. I mentioned that in order for me to learn how to do those batch inspections, I put posts out to both of them, and a whole bunch of people responded and gave me all this help to figure it out. So if you have questions on how to do things, this is a great place to look. And a lot of the people respond are those IBM champions. If you've been out on LinkedIn recently, the whole 2026 class of IBM champions are announcing things right now. Their job is to answer these questions. Our calendar, again, Ask the Trainer calendar, we are booked out. I have a couple more that I've added to our schedule. You'll notice the July one doesn't have an exact date yet because I'm holding some weeks open for a client right now. As soon as they tell me which week I'm going to teach for them, I will schedule that one on a week that I'm not teaching. The YouTube playlist, I shared that one in our chat. That is if you want to look at past Ask the Trainers. And then I'm also adding in here, follow me on LinkedIn. If you guys, the only thing I really share in LinkedIn is either all about the trades or all about Maximo itself. And there are a lot of people out there, those IBM champions who do newsletters every week, and they share really great information and videos. And then I will reshare those for people as well, in addition to all of the conferences. And then the last thing I have is April's topic. In April, we're going to do some tips and shortcuts for Mass 9, but specifically, we're going to look at the inventory count books application. That's a new application, and the role-based application for inventory counting. So I wanted to squeak in one of the inventory side applications. I'm also going to add, I think in September, we're going to go over the reorder process for inventory, so you understand exactly how that system runs. So I believe that is all I have. Thank you guys so much for being here today.